Nod to yes. Well, welcome to the Oakdale Economic Development Commission meeting on December 6, 2023. We'll call it to order. And what I'd like to do to start out with is do a call of roll. So we've got Frank here, Gary's here, yours truly, we got Jeff, and we got Bob. So we're short one for a quorum. So I'll delay all voting until we do have one. So with that, Frank, if you'd be so kind to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance,
You
please.
bet. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Frank. Let's see, again, we're going to go over and pass by the approval of the agenda and approval of the minutes because we have no quorum at this point. So we're going to get right to the, the open forum section of it. And I think we can get right into lovely Kim O'Brien from the St. Paul Chamber with review of the business retention and expansion. Max, is there any more that I need to set up Kim's amazing work that she does?
I've got a few things before Kim comes in. So with the first cycle of business retention visits complete and a new contract completed with the St. Paul Chamber for program assistance and administration, I'm pleased to have Kim O'Brien here tonight to help provide training for business retention visits. As you know, on each visit, the BRIA program brings together city staff, elected officials, business community members, and more together to interview and listen to our local businesses. Last year, many of our business visit participants were EDC members representing the business community, and we were very thankful for their time to be able to participate. I highly encourage any of you who are interested and weren't able to join last year to join us on a visit, and to help interested parties and our new members succeed in these visits, Kim is here to provide background and training on the visits. So with that, I'm happy to have Kim speak.
Thank you, Chair Burns, Max, Commissioners. It's great to be here. My name is Kim O'Brien. I'm with the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also representing the Oakdale Area Chamber of Commerce. And I'll just start by saying it's been absolutely delightful to work with the City of Oakdale and the Chamber and your body here to visit Oakdale area businesses, learn more about them, forge new relationships for both the city and the Chamber. And, I just appreciate the opportunity to be part of this, so thank you. As Max mentioned, I'm just going to provide some general information about the BRE&A program, as well as information for you all who would like to participate in visits this year in 2024. The partners in the program are the Chamber, the Oakdale Chamber, as well as the St. Paul Chamber. Our project timeline, we're going to do better at it this year. Last year, it took a little longer than expected to get all 18 visits scheduled and completed and the report done. So we're going to do well in our timeline. Right now, we are in engagement of participants in the program. We're also reaching out to businesses to go and visit. And then we'll begin business visits, I'm thinking, in January, right off the bat in the new year, and visit over 5 or 6 months, the 12 businesses that we want to visit this year. Then prepare a report with our findings and present back to the City Council and your board in the fall of 2024. The goals are the same this year as last year, to express appreciation. A lot of business owners, they employ people in our community, they provide tax base and services, they help make Oakdale a great place to live, and sometimes they just want to know from their city officials and other community members that their efforts are appreciated and that the city wants to see them continue to grow and thrive in Oakdale. So express appreciation, build relationships, also connect them to resources. So last year we found that not a lot of our businesses understood that the resources available to them. So through partners, through the city, through the chamber, there's grant programs, there's loan programs, there's promotional programs. We can help deliver those resources directly to the business owners. Also to understand from the city's perspective, the real estate trends, workforce trends, or what's going on in the business community in Oakdale, so that you can, the city can be a better promoter of the city as a place to do business or grow business within the city. So sometimes you'll find that a business says, I really actually am ready to grow and add a whole new building, but I'm not sure this site is possible because there's a blah, blah, blah. Well, the city staff has the opportunity then to work with that property owner and see if there's a way for them to grow right where they are or to find another parcel for which they can grow within the city limits. So that's another benefit. And then understanding, for the city council to understand the way that policy impacts the ability of our employers to grow and employ people and provide tax base within the city limits too. So those are the goals. We're going to go through who will participate in our visits, who we will visit, how we plan and schedule the visits, what we'll ask, and what happens after that. Just like last year, we're hoping that this program can include participants both from the city council, so an elected person. The city staff will be at every visit, probably Director Andy Gitzloff, or Max in his absence, as well as a community leader. So that would be either one of you from the Economic Development Commission or a member of the Oakdale Area Chamber Board of Directors. As well as myself or a staff from the Chamber of Commerce to help facilitate and administer the visit. We are going to circle around the private for-profit businesses of all types and sizes. We are going to start with businesses that we had not visited last year so that we learn about new businesses. We're going to keep the same categories of businesses, including those that have been most impacted by COVID. So if you think of like retail and restaurants, everybody, healthcare has been impacted, but those most impacted, women-owned, BIPOC-owned, and BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color-owned businesses. Legacy employers, so those are those larger businesses that employ lots of people for many, many years in the city. Top employment sectors, which I'll go over soon, and then geographic diversity. So making sure we're hitting those parts of the city that we don't get to all that often. Our goal is to visit 12 businesses between January and July, 1 to 2 a month. This is just the latest data from the state on the types of businesses that exist within the city limits. We're finding it's pretty much the same as last year for the top sectors of employment. I thought it was interesting the number of employed people in the city of Oakdale grew slightly from last year when I compared the data. But the highest levels of employment were still in healthcare and social assistance, retail trade, professional, scientific, and technical services, and manufacturing. Totaling just over 11,000 jobs last year. So how do we do this? I start by working with Andy and Max and the team and thinking through, okay, who are those businesses that we have on our radar maybe we weren't able to get last year, or maybe businesses that you all know of and think that we should owe a visit. And it can be a single person, or it could be a business that employs 1,000 people. They're both valuable to learn about. So we're gonna develop a big prospect list and then kind of rank those businesses by priority. We're gonna reach out to these prospects through an email and a phone call if needed. Once in a while, a stop by helps, I've noticed, just popping in. And then schedule a follow-up. So we work in advance with Director Gitzloff to identify some times available on the city schedule, and then I can offer those times really easily to the business because that scheduling hassle is, no one has time for that, the business owners especially. So trying to make it as smooth as process as possible. And that's when we reach out to our community members. So our community leader, including one of you all or a member of the Oakdale Chamber Board. Last year, Chair Burns kind of helped take the lead on that and attended as many visits as was possible for him. And on the visits that did not quite work on his schedule, or perhaps another EDC or board member had a relationship with, they wanted to kind of utilize, then we went down the list of other participants and invited other folks to come. We always do a good job scheduling, send a calendar invitation, send a reminder. We send questions in advance, and every participant gets a calendar invitation as well as the survey itself. And I send a confirmation email a couple days before, or sometimes the day before, just so the business is reminded that we're coming. In our survey, we're going to ask for, the details of the business, so like just basic stuff that we have all the information we need, what kind of business they are, how many people they employ, if they own or lease the land, that kind of thing. We're going to ask about their facility and any plans for investment in capital, either like equipment, machinery, or land, buildings, things like that. Workforce issues, we find that is on everybody's mind these days. What issues are they having attracting and retaining talent? The transportation and transit issues, so as you know, city is growing a lot. There's transit coming in, the pedestrian plan that was just approved, and what are the businesses thinking about the infrastructure of the city? And community connectedness, so a lot of the people I see here even are very connected into the Chamber of Commerce or other local community members or the city itself, as you all are. But not all business owners have those connections. So how do we help build connections with our business leaders so they can also be city and community leaders as well? Or at least just join the chamber, right? We often will also get the privilege of a facility tour, a group photo, and your communications department here at the City of Oakdale has done an awesome job of sharing out the pictures and stories of the businesses that we visit on social media. And I think that's a real bonus for the businesses too, that they get a little additional, marketing bump for their effort. In addition to that, the businesses are left with a welcome packet from the City of Oakdale, which was created by, the city staff and communications team, along with a welcome letter. And this includes all the resources both that the city has to provide, contacts if they need anything, plus resources from the chamber, the county, open to business, all the programs that are available to them. So they have it in one spot. And we actually give them a nice folder with it and then email them a PDF version after, which is really handy. Last year, and I believe we're doing it again this year, the city invested in a nice thank you for growing in Oakdale statue. And I've been into several businesses since, and they all have that proudly displayed in their lobby area. And I just think it's a really nice leave behind. It was a great idea to include that. So a nice leave behind that shows their city pride. Always follow up with a thank you email and any follow-ups that are able to be followed up immediately. They had a question about a particular service. Here's the person you could call. As well as any delegation or follow-ups needed from different city staff. So, Director Getzlaff might realize that the person needed a follow-up from, say, the police because they were having, an issue with break-ins in their parking lot. He'll make that connection and follow up that way. I think another nice takeaway is the spreadsheet of contact information for these businesses that the city gets to keep after the program exists. So whenever you guys have news or something that you need the businesses to know about, you'll have a direct contact. Or if you hear about something that happened, the city's invited to use that information and contact the businesses directly. Create a written report with the trends that we saw, comparing it to the data from the year before, nice pictures and recommendations on how to grow and improve the program for next year, as well as any recommendations that the business community would like the city officials to know about as well. I think the only thing that I missed here in the training consider yourself trained, and it's not rocket science, right? You all meet with you are business owners, and many of you meet with business owners regularly. But I think the one thing to mention is that the survey is designed so we can compare data between and among the businesses that we're meeting with. So the way we have it is we have sections of questions that are assigned to each of the participants. So everybody who comes to the meeting will be assigned, 2-3 questions at least to ask that business owner directly. We started with a bit of a script, and we pre-apologize that it may seem a little overly formal or, ask questions maybe we already even know. But we have to be able to kind of track that data in our system so that we can compare it. So, if Chair Burns attends the meeting, he'll be assigned a set of questions, and then I will take the notes on those questions to make sure they're recorded, and we'll go through the script pretty much as written. Yes, and so that is the program, and I can stand for any questions.
Any?
How do you volunteer to visit businesses? Just tell you, Bill?
No,
be
Kim
on the
is,
list?
Kim is a great resource, so go right to Kim.
Yes,
I'd like to make a few.
thank
but,
you. Wonderful,
Not all of them, but ones that I can.
wonderful.
Same
That's
here.
great. You too? Okay.
I think the issue I had last year, because I did volunteer last year, sometimes I had very short notice. And I'll do the best I can with that. Sometimes
Well, that's
it's
because
just,
you were last on the list, you see.
it might be,
Bill couldn't make it,
it might be.
Yeah, I didn't tell her until the last hour. Yeah.
When do you usually do these visits? During the day, early morning, late night, what?
It is usually during the day. It is usually in person. And so the way that it's worked before is that Andy and I will kind of collaborate on our calendars and put blocks of time on our calendar, and then I'll have slots to offer the business right away. So 9 a.m., usually between 9 and 5 p.m. is when which I know makes it hard for some business owners to attend. I understand.
That's tough hours.
It is, and for the business, they've got that's their time
Well, I
of making money.
understand.
And so we're asking them to, hey, step aside for 2 hours, or whatever it ends up to be. And so Kim keeps it so organized that we're taking as least amount of time as possible when we're in there, and she's got great questions. Some people have been known to go off script,
I don't know who that would have been.
right? And, and the fact that the business gets the survey questions in advance really helps too. Yeah, so we're not catching them off guard with a rogue question, maybe once in a while, but that's about it, yeah.
I'll just say that I was able to do one last year, and I found that those questions that we had to start with, actually very helpful. And I've been different situations where that consistency becomes very important. So I understand what you're speaking to say that we have to be able to map these things from one time to another, from one business to another, or from one year to another. So I get that.
Definitely. Any other questions for Kim?
Can I say one other thing, Chair? I think one other note and a learning from last year is just the importance of, kind of keeping everything we learn within the room. So part of the opening script is to say that, that anything that they say is, that we're recording, but if they'd like us not to record something, that's okay, because sometimes maybe they want to complain about their neighbor or something like that. They're having an issue, but they don't want it documented in a report. So I think that, making sure this year that we're, really clear about what will be in the report, what will be followed up on and what won't. I think that's just another note for us all, so that the businesses understand, because I think having the city come into their business, for some people, that's an intimidating. They're used to the city being in a, what's the word, regulatory, position, rather than a relational position. So just making sure that we're wearing our relational hats, and that we're, sometimes something will be said in confidence, and that we can keep that confidence, I think is another important thing.
And one side note for Kim is she is a TV star. So if you watch TV and you see a commercial for Apollo Heating and Air, it's Kim. You'll see her and her husband.
And another note is Bill Burns was supposed to be in that commercial, but backed out at the last minute, so I had to go
Didn't
do
come
it.
to agreement on endorsements.
Yeah, our Oakdale Area Chamber of Commerce is having a holiday party luncheon tomorrow, 11:30 to 1, at the Holiday Inn and Suites Lake Elmo. So we would love to see you all there if you are free.
The Tartan Choir, again, Frank, how many years in a row?
23. Wow. This will be the 23rd year we had the Tartan Choir entertain us, except 1 year off for COVID.
Yeah, that was the year you sang?
I did. I sang all by myself. I had the whole room to myself, and
Yeah, sounded amazing.
I sang just beautifully. Nobody was there to appreciate it.
Or
Okay,
less.
well, thank you, Kim, so much for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
You bet. Shall we go back to get an approval on the agenda and the minutes now that we have a quorum?
I think that would be a great idea. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Something new, we're trying to get an approval for an agenda, which is obviously in front of you. I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion, approval of the agenda.
We get a second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. We'll do an approval for the minutes, so if we can get a motion on that.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good deal. We'll keep moving on. Max, where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, next up, we've got the open forum item.
And the open forum item would be what?
For this item, which is new, given a new policy, which I'll expand a bit more
Okay.
in a bit, the chair will typically invite the public to speak at the podium for up to 3 minutes about any topic they feel is appropriate. Given that there are no members of the public, you can just say that you're opening the public forum, and seeing that there are no members of the public forum is closed.
As what Max said, no one's here, so we're going to close it. Moving on. So do you want to go to the 2024 Draft Economic Development Commission Work Plan?
Yeah, we can do that. So in our last meeting, we reviewed a draft we prepared as city staff of the Economic Development Commission Work Plan for next year. At that meeting, the commission floated the idea of taking the time between meetings to think of any potential modifications or updates. As a result, I've added this item to allow for any commissioners to voice additional thoughts on the work plan, as it was quote-unquote assigned as homework at the last meeting. If the work plan still looks good as included in the packet, we will formally adopt the plan at the first EDC meeting in 2024 in February. One note, at the last meeting, I did mention that we would adopt the plan at the City Council and EDC Appreciation Dinner at the February 7th, 2023 Economic Development Commission meeting. This date has been officially confirmed, and the dinner will take place at the normal meeting time of 5:15 p.m. The regular meeting will follow after. This should be a great chance to catch up with the City Council and talk about economic development priorities, and as a result, I hope that all commissioners can join us. So with that, if any commissioners have any ideas or questions or things to add to the work plan, we can do so. Otherwise, we can close it and then present it for adoption in February.
Jeff's got a question.
Can you repeat that date?
Yes, so February 7th, 2024.
24.
And the dinner portion will be held at 5:15 p.m. with the regular meeting to follow after.
So again, similar to last year where we had the food right here and we go on from there.
I believe so. I was not an employee at that time, but I imagine it will be similar.
Yeah, okay. Anyone have any questions about the work plan? or want to make any changes? Well, Max, I think we adopt it then. Do we need to take a vote or anything, or are you just going to wave your wand?
We don't need to take a vote. Instead,
Okay.
we'll present it to the council at the next
Okay,
meeting.
good. All right, shall we move on to new business? Take it over.
Great. So we have an update on city policies regarding advisory commissions. So as you might have noticed, our agenda is a little bit different for tonight. I want to briefly update all of you on a recent city ordinance and policy update that pertains to the EDC as well as other commissions. At the November 14th, 2023 City Council meeting, the City Council adopted a set of ordinances and policies with the goal of streamlining commission procedures and creating consistency across all of our commissions. The first of these changes was a full repeal of the Economic Development Commission bylaws. Instead of having bylaws, which is an older practice that a lot of cities have moved away from, the EDC bylaws are now included in their entirety in the city's standard operating policy. The city code was then updated to remove those mentions and instead point to the city policy. In general, there are relatively few things that affect the day-to-day operations of the Economic Development Commission, with the exception of a few procedures I'll go over. First, as you may have noticed, there's been some minor changes to the standard agenda for the EDC. Going forward, we'll be required to use the same order of business that the City Council uses for best consistency. The primary de facto change is the addition of an open forum. Similar to City Council meetings, the open forum involves giving the opportunity for any members of the public present to speak at the podium for up to 3 minutes. This time is reserved for non-commission members, and commissioner updates and general discussion are unaffected and will proceed as they always have. Additionally, we now have an approval of the agenda formally, and the Community Development Department update will now be referred to as the Staff Liaison update, but will contain the same information. Furthermore, city policy now officially requires work plans to be completed annually. The EDC has already started this practice some time ago and went through 2 cycles of completing the work plan as we just did, so we should not be impacted by this requirement. Finally, policy now specifies that EDC members should attend an annual training session for City Advisory Commission members. The details of the training session are yet to be finalized, and I'll work with our city clerk and figure out what that will look like going forward in the future. So I understand that's quite a few changes, so with that, I can take any questions and answer any that you may have.
Questions?
Sounds like it's really just a formality in how the meetings run, but the substance of the charter of our commission remains unchanged, is that correct?
Yeah, the de facto day-to-day operations and meeting should have very few changes other than approving the agenda and then holding that forum, which we can more or less skip over if there are no members of the public present who wish to participate.
Okay. Yep.
So what caught my ear here was the training session. Can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much information on it. I believe it'll be talking about the role that you have as an advisory member of an advisory commission, your relationship to the city council, and what you can be expected to do on the commission. I'll be working with the city clerk to learn more about what that session will entail, whether or not it's required or optional, and then provide more information as soon as I have it.
All right.
So is your general idea that we are a good function for the city, that we're worth it? I mean, worth it to have around?
I think absolutely it's worth it to have around. And again, nothing was changed in terms of the actual duties of the EDC. The city council and the city as a whole very much want to keep it moving forward. So instead, we're just streamlining the processes so that all of the bodies operate very similarly. And some of them will have more changes than others. In our case, our agenda should be only minorly affected by the changes.
Okay. Well, let's move ahead then. Well, let's go to update, Oakdale Development Update, 2023 review and 24 outlook.
Great. So, as many of you have seen, we currently have more cranes and construction sites in the city than we've had for a long time. With the year drawing to a close and the EDC having shown interest in a more in-depth development update, I prepared a development update that compiles the majority of projects being constructed right now, as well as what projects you can currently expect to see next year. In general, these are projects that have already been submitted via some kind of permit, so it's possible that more projects will emerge next year depending on market conditions and what the city is looking like. During and after the presentation, all commissioners are invited to ask questions and provide observations. So with that, I'll start and give a more comprehensive look at what we've seen this year. So first, I'll start with projects that have already broken ground in Oakdale. And again, please feel free to stop me with questions at any point, and I will see if I can answer them. I also want to credit the Oakdale Fire Department with providing many of the photos I've used here, drone photos that show many of our newest developments. These were taken in October, so some more construction progress has occurred, but they do provide a relatively recent snapshot and a really nice way to see some of our highest profile construction sites. So the first few projects I want to focus on are related to the Willowbrook area. So I thought it would be helpful to take a look at the map for reference, given just how many additions are under development. We will likely go past the 10th edition, and right now we've been working on the 8th and 9th edition quite recently. So as we go through these slides, I recommend taking a look at the map, which also lays out which additions focus on single family, which focus on townhomes, apartments, to kind of get a feel for which parts of the Willowbrook area these are in. So first up, we have the Willowbrook 2nd Edition. Because of the way that the platting process works, a part of the land development process, not all additions add new housing. So Willowbrook 1st did not contain any new houses. Instead, they focus on dividing up lots. In this edition, Willowbrook 2nd, we have a medium density set of 51 single-family lots and 63 townhome lots, all developed by Lennar. This edition is located in the southeastern part of Willowbrook, with the majority of units are already complete. This edition will be close to a new high-amenity park that is currently being designed by the city and its consultant, which you can see in the photo in the land to the left. That's sort of in a U shape.
So is that the piece with the water on it?
That's correct, yep.
Okay.
So then we have Willowbrook 3rd Edition, also known as the Springs of Willowbrook. This was finished as of August of this year. I believe some of you may have attended the ribbon cutting. This is a high amenity 280 unit townhome-like apartment community. The development was developed by Continental and has a number of high amenity features like a pool, a clubhouse, gated access, and other items.
And those are true apartments, they're not sold as a townhome?
Yeah, so it's entirely a rental community.
Okay.
Very
know what
nice
the,
units. I was there for the grand opening. And they're really nice. I mean, we should be pretty proud of the things that are going in. Pricey, a little bit costly, but very, very well done.
I was surprised how pet-friendly they were. Very pet-friendly.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, at
that
those.
too.
Yeah, I recall reading in a recent multifamily market report that that's one of the primary amenities that new construction are looking at to help increase their base of people who want to sign on day one.
Do we have our occupancy rate? Is it,
I do not for those particular apartments. I could reach out if the commission would be interested. Generally, though, based on other projects, the occupancy rate has been very high.
I think when they had the open house, I was asking the realtor about those, the springs, and I think she said that they were 45% filled already. and they were hardly even done, so, I mean,
You know, I
Pretty
would
good.
imagine it's well above 50 by now. Could be even pushing 75, 80. Because it's completely
what?
done now, correct? I believe it is, yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, they're doing a little bit of work on the landscaping still, but everything is ready for occupancy. And I believe reading that the average multifamily vacancy rate was 4% in the Twin Cities right now. So region-wide, we're performing very similarly, so I imagine that some of these newer developments will quickly reach that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, and moving on, and we can always come back to other developments as well. We have Willowbrook 6th Edition, which is a relatively new edition that encompasses 62 single-family lots. Currently, about 16 homes have been built. We've seen quite a few building permits come in. These are lower density homes on average than the 2nd edition and are shaping up pretty well and should be finished next year.
When you say lower density, just smaller home?
So the lot sizes are a little bit bigger. Some of the houses in the second lot, and I'd need to verify the exact measure, but they're often 40 to 50 feet wide lots, sometimes 55, which is similar to some of the older lots in the city and in St. Paul. The houses are still relatively larger than a lot of older houses, but they're not quite as big as, say, some newer developments in other cities. Whereas these lower density ones, they're often 50 to 60 foot wide lots that are usually about 130 feet deep. So they're a little bit less dense. Oftentimes the houses are bigger. So it allows for multiple entry points in the market for people at different stages of life.
And these are still all built by Lennar?
Yes, so Willowbrook 6th is built by Lennar.
Okay.
So is 8th, and then 7th is built by Roars.
So moving on to the 7th edition then.
Yep, so for the 7th edition, this is a Roars project, which combines a variety of densities in the southwestern part of the Willowbrook neighborhood with a 190-unit apartment building and 79 townhomes. Recently, it was renamed by Roars to be called the Espin Residences, which is how it will be marketed once they start leasing. Construction has moved along quite quickly, and based on the COs we've seen coming in, the certificates of occupancy, the townhomes are expected to begin renting in the spring.
what is multifamily, what does that mean?
Apartments, essentially. Multifamily can mean anything from townhomes that are attached to duplexes, quadplexes, and larger apartment buildings. Generally, when people say it, they'll usually mean apartment buildings. So in this case, we have 190-unit apartment building and then townhomes as well.
So multifamily, kids and the whole families, right?
It definitely can. The term family and planning and zoning, and I apologize, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of land use here. Family is often used as a legal term regardless of how many people live there. It can certainly be, because there's a lot of 2 and 3 bedroom units in these apartment buildings. There's also studios and 1 bedrooms. So family is a relatively vague term that can mean really any household.
Do you know what amenities this apartment building is going to be offering for as large as it is? Is there going to be any pool, anything like that going with it?
Yeah, the pool I would need to double check on. I know there is a clubhouse that has shared amenities that we just issued a temporary certificate of occupancy for. I can also get back to you and have an answer ready for the next meeting.
Sure. Well, that's gone up pretty fast.
Yeah. So then our most recent Willowbrook edition is the 8th edition, located roughly in the center of the neighborhood and encompasses 37 lower density single-family homes. So again, those more 50 to 60 feet wide lots with the larger houses. Currently, one house has begun construction, and we're seeing some more building permits come in, and the rest will likely be constructed next spring and throughout the rest of the year. So then we have Oakdale Commons. So I think we've talked about this one a little bit at prior meetings. This is a 168-unit multifamily apartment building, affordable senior building that is located behind Hy-Vee and the fountains. Construction started a few months ago and will continue into 2024.
Say again, what is that one behind Hy-Vee? What is it?
Oakdale Commons, and that's 168 units designed for senior affordable living.
Where do they get access to get there? Do you have to drive right by the bank?
I believe it'll be through the bank.
I think it's off Hadley.
Yeah.
Gonna have a,
It
I
is
think,
by the bank's
yep.
parking, past the bank's parking lot.
The bank's parking lot is due north of the driveway.
So next up, we have the Harlan Apartments, which was previously known as Oakdale Marketplace Apartments. This is a high amenity, market rate multifamily building with a golf simulator and a few other things inside. And it's located near Target, Speedway, and Pins near Old 5 and Ideal Avenue. Construction began a few months ago. They've mainly been working on the foundation and will continue into the winter and into the rest of 2024.
I'm sorry, where is this one located?
Sure, so this is by Target, near County Road 14 and then Ideal.
Okay.
So it's a little tucked in behind Target by the Speedway.
The LA Fitness nearby there
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
And Pins right in that area. Mhm.
Yeah, look for the crane.
Yeah, there's cranes all over the place. We got more cranes, like you said.
You can see that crane from your house probably, Frank.
Just about. That's all I see is cranes.
They
I'm
got a
telling you,
couple
all
of
over
cranes
the
on that
city.
Oakdale Common, the one behind Hy-Vee.
Yeah, I was listening to
Several
our
of them, yeah.
building officials say, I think they have 3 at the moment, which is quite impressive for a site.
Yeah.
So then next, for a bit more of a commercial break, in the forefront area, we have the new forefront warehouse on the western edge of the campus. So this building was just opened a few months ago and is being leased by a company called Superior Logistics, a wholesale company that assembles displays and heavy equipment for other businesses and then will deliver it to them. This is a very large industrial property with the building occupying approximately 200,000 square feet. So it's among our largest single industrial, non-multi-tenant industrial buildings. So if you want to take a look at that, it's just west of High Point Drive when you're entering the forefront campus.
Superior Logistics has the entire warehouse? It's the,
Yes, they are the sole tenant.
Wasn't that gonna be, like, be able to be segregated?
I think that was his original plan.
Original
that-
plan,
but
there's
They
multi-tenants
came
in
in and
there.
rented the whole thing, sure they weren't gonna say no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, the project evolved through a few phases where it was, I believe, initially 2 buildings, but they also had a 1-building option. And once they had found some potential companies to lease the space, they decided to go with the 1-building option. So next we have the Norhart Impact Apartments. This is a very visible and big new apartment building located in the Helmo Station Gold Line area. The project encompasses 328 units, and the commercial space is dedicated for a restaurant and coffee shop. All units will be market rate, and construction has been continuing and will continue into 2024.
so we won't be opening that up until 2025?
I'm not sure what date they're targeting for occupancy.
Okay, tell me where that one is again.
Yeah. So that one is off of Helmo Avenue, right by 94 by the new bridge.
Down.
So it's almost the first building once you cross that new bridge when you step into Oakdale.
Okay.
You familiar with that is, Frank?
Pardon me?
You know where that is now?
Yes.
Okay.
So then next, we have the new Hy-Vee Aisles upgrade. This is a new drive-through kiosk and canopy that aims to provide better and faster drive-through grocery pickup. The kiosk has refrigerated storage and a staff member present inside to allow for faster grocery access. And there's EV parking for non-Tesla vehicles located on the building's backside.
I had a lot of people believing it was going to be a new Starbucks.
I thought it was gonna be a new, larger EV charging.
Oh,
When I first I thought they're building more, you know? But, and you said there's a few EV charging stations in it, but behind. But
Yeah,
it's
behind.
primarily for delivery.
yeah.
Yeah, because the EV spaces, the non-Tesla ones, were previously where the building is now, so they relocated them.
Oh, okay. So it's primarily just for the food delivery.
Primarily, yes.
Food pickup, yeah.
So then for another big one with quite the economic impact in Oakdale, we have the Gold Line Bus Rapid Transit Project, which we had Metro Transit visit us a few meetings ago to give some construction updates. As you may be aware, the Bielenberg Bridge recently opened, connecting Oakdale to Woodbury for both buses and general traffic. Right now, the project is approximately 50% complete and is on time and on budget. And construction is expected to end in late 2024 with a couple-month period of testing the bus routes, determining the level of service and the times, and then opening for service in early 2025.
So are you saying that bridge is open?
The bridge is, I believe, fully open.
Maybe?
Yep. Pedestrians, cars, anyone can cross it at this point. I've heard there's still some construction on the Woodbury side. I have not been over the bridge yet to test it. It's still on my to-do list. So there might be some issues once you cross Woodbury with access. But the actual bridge itself is fully open.
You can still get where you need to go in Woodbury, but especially on Bielenberg, there are lane closures still. So there's like one lane open in each direction.
They're getting pretty minimal now. So this picture here, once you cross the bridge, okay, on the Woodbury side there, it's gonna be a 4-laner. But on this side, it looks like a single lane, is that correct? On the Oakdale side?
So it's 2 general traffic lanes, a little bit wider than that to encompass other uses as well. And then as you can see, on there's a concrete road to the right that crosses into the bridge. That is for the buses specifically.
Okay. Is open all the way up to 4th Street? Is 4th Street open?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Buses go down the center lane across the bridge, and on the Woodbury side, there's a center lane for the buses. The auto traffic's on either side of the center.
In Woodbury, the median boulevard is wider, so my assumption is it's very.
Right. Yep.
They just had to be bigger, didn't they?
All right, so then next up, we've got the Tartan High School expansion project. This project includes additional capacity to allow for 1,800 students, and new additions to the kitchen, cafeteria, classrooms, laboratories, gymnasium, and special ed sections of the building, and also includes improved security for access into the building and separate bus and car drop-off zones. And this one is nearing completion, and I believe should be open in the next few months or in the spring.
I think we have a ribbon cutting there next week or.
Yeah, then that is actually ahead of what I thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that should be a really great project for the school district. And then we have a fairly recent project. We have a new Valvoline coming in, and this is an oil change service that's replacing the empty building and lot in Bergen Plaza near CCF Bank and Taco Bell. Construction has started and is expected to finish in 2024.
It used to be a daycare center, correct?
Correct.
You're across from the Taco Bells.
Yep. If you go there now, they're moving quite a bit of dirt and have it fenced off.
I don't think it was, you've got here previously Carol Matthews. I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. Do you?
Oh, my apologies, I must have put the wrong PDF into the
Yeah, 'cause
packet.
Carol Matthews is up on Century Avenue.
Yeah, on the updated one on the screen, we have just
Yeah.
vacant building.
Good.
So that was my bad. So that concludes the projects from this year that are under construction or have finished construction. At least many of the major ones. We have plenty of permits for renovations, roofing, all sorts of things that keep our building team busy. So now I'm going to take a look at some of our upcoming projects that we expect will begin construction in 2024. Many of these are still under review and therefore are subject to changes. So the pictures you'll see likely won't be the final forms, but these are at stages where we do want to share them with the EDC and see what's coming up. So first up, we have the Tanner's Lake project. As we stated in other meetings, we signed an exclusive rights agreement with the developer and are currently working on a concept plan. We're actually seeing quite a bit of progress in this area in that we recently approved a shoreland zoning ordinance with the DNR, which was a major barrier that prevented us from pursuing a more complete and accurate design. So you can expect more project updates now that we know what setbacks are required from the water or how far the building needs to be from the water. Once we have a more complete concept, we'll come to the EDC for input on the project. So then we have the Forefront commercial property. Apologies, I don't have a good rendering for this one. This recently approved project is directly west of High Point Drive, once you enter the Forefront campus. So far, site plans have been approved for a new Aldi grocery store and a new national coffee shop, with construction expected in spring of next year.
So is the High Point Drive the brand-new one that was just put in, as far as that street?
I believe that's what Imation Place was renamed as. So the first road once you enter the Forefront campus.
Okay.
Off to the west of the Forefront, right?
Yep.
Right, it's that new, and it kind of heads back to the warehouse.
Yeah, it's in that direction. It'll be a little bit closer, and there'll be a private access to get into the Aldi and coffee shop.
And that road, is it going to be to the west or the east of the road? Because the west is wooded right now.
Yeah, it'll turn west, but before the road turns west to the industrial site.
So I think it'll be in the trees, somewhere around there.
Trees in there, okay. Not kind of in front of the old Imation building along the street, right? It's
Visually, it will be right at the front off of 34th Street. So, yeah, I can point it out on a map later as well to help give a grounding, because right now we have a picture of the plat, and that isn't super visually helpful in a lot of cases. If there's no additional questions, we can move on to the next property.
Well, I think there's room there for another Panera.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep that one in mind as we're talking.
We definitely need another Panera.
Yeah.
We got the coffee shop. Doesn't everybody want one?
Yeah. Next, we have the Hudson Boulevard Apartments project. This is a 130-unit multifamily apartment building located off of the Greenway Station Gold Line stop on Hudson Boulevard. This building will use the Medicare Integrated Community Services Program to have some semi-assisted living for residents, and the project was approved by the City Council a few months ago. The development agreement, which is one of the last stages of the land use development process, is currently underway, with construction expected in 2024. So next, we have a pretty new project that we're under talks for with MWF in the Helmo Station area. MWF is the developer who's currently constructing the Oakdale Commons Senior Apartments by Hy-Vee. This proposal, located on this tornado-shaped parcel that is just north of Impact Apartments, would be a fully market rate 133-unit apartment building. Currently, the project is in the concept review phase with additional reviews to come in 2024. So we don't have renderings yet, but we're in the pretty early stages where we're talking about generally what will the project be, what could it look like.
Okay.
And we have Willowbrook 9th Edition. This is another Lennar project located just northwest of the new 40th Street roundabout. The project will consist of 29 lower density single family lots, so those 50 to 60 foot wide lots, and construction is expected in 2024. Next, we have the Marlis Center for Early Education. This is a 162 child capacity childcare center that is expected to bring 23 full-time jobs into Oakdale. The project was recently fully approved by the City Council, and construction is expected in 2024. As staff, we're hopeful that it'll help with the childcare shortage, both in Oakdale and our region as a whole. And we've also mentioned the shortage in previous EDC meetings, so we're excited to see this project go through.
Where's this one at?
This is on Helmo Avenue.
Across the street from my office,
Yeah, right across from Bill's office on the 1400 block.
so next to the
Is that the TLC?
TLC.
Yeah, there's, I believe, 2 or 3 lots that are greenfields, so they're fully ready to develop, that have sat there for quite a few years. So this is one of those.
Is that your property, Bob?
Right next to the north of me.
Or is it to the, yeah, it is to the north, yeah, yep. The dogs are gonna miss all that open green. And this is construction expected this coming year.
Yes.
How do they, I mean, is the road wide enough to have turn lanes to get into there?
I'd have to double check the site plan. I know there will be a new access that is built to accommodate coming into the new building. And then a parking study was also completed that was done to demonstrate whether or not there would be traffic issues and if there were sufficient parking spots. And generally it was found that it would have a pretty minimal impact.
Bob, do you ever have issues with any of your people turning off that street?
I think there's only a issue for a few minutes at 5 o'clock when everybody wants to get on the road at once.
Yeah. Okay.
And then for our last one tonight, we have the new Public Works building located near 34th Street in Granada. Planning is moving quickly on this project with soil contamination cleanup expected in spring of 2024 and construction in the summer. And you can expect to see future updates at an upcoming city council meeting as we work further with our architect.
Okay, that's the Public Works. What about the police department? How's that one doing?
Yeah, so the police department is still pretty early along in the phases. They're doing some studying into it and potential locations. So we'll keep you updated on that at a future community development department update at the EDC. Just right now, we don't have any concepts to present.
That's gonna be up near there too, isn't it? No. No, where's the police department? Gonna be the city
Stay
hall.
where it is.
Or stay, just expand there, correct?
Yeah, they're looking at different options, and that's one of them, yeah.
Okay.
So we had quite a few projects to review, and given that we can't have a development review of this scale at every meeting, I just want to remind commissioners of ways to stay up to date. For one, I recommend continuing to use the Oakdale development map with the link there on the screen. We update this map pretty soon after permits are submitted or projects are approved, so this is a reliable way to know what's being built in Oakdale. Next, Andy and I will continue to give departmental updates at future EDC meetings, and we're looking to have a spring development bus tour similar to 2022, assuming there's interest from the EDC in doing another. Additionally, if you ever see a crane or any new projects that you're curious about, please feel free to email myself or someone else in community development. My email is maxwell.lohse@oakdalemn.gov. And if I don't know the answer or if I can't find it, I know someone who will. So we'll be able to get that to you. So please feel free. And with that, I'm happy to take any additional questions, whether that's about development as a whole or any individual project.
I've got one. All these rental units, I mean, they probably wouldn't have started construction if they didn't think that they're gonna fill these up. But we're talking a couple thousand units here. And I mean, is there that many people out there looking for,
Oh, yeah.
is there?
Yeah, generally the multifamily market in the Twin Cities has been in a shortage for quite a few decades. So similar other suburbs, including other second ring suburbs, have been building multifamily, are still seeing at 20% vacancies, or often much less. I worked on a project, I used to be with the city of Fridley, where we built a 300 unit market rate building, and it was leased 100% by day one. And we're continuing to see similar patterns with a lot of these buildings, especially if they're in a location that's popular with commuters. So it appears that, at least based on the current market, things can always change in the future, that these are being leased pretty regularly. And the ownership units as well. A lot of the Lennar townhomes are ownership, as well as the houses in the Willowbrook area are seeing quite a bit of interest from buyers as well.
Back with the Willowbrook, are there, I didn't see on any of the plats, any parks? Do you have any parks planned for those things?
Yeah, the primary park is that U-shaped parcel near Willowbrook 2nd. I can try and find that quick in the PowerPoint. So this picture is facing roughly north. If you look just to the left of the houses on the screen, that sort of U-shaped feature with the water there is where the primary park that the city is looking to build will be. And that'll have an amphitheater or performing area, as well as walking paths and water features and playground and other amenities as well.
Okay, it's just one park then?
I'd need to double check and look at the plan. It's called the Willowbrook Planned Unit Development, which lays out exactly where everything's gonna go.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head, it's possible there's more than that one. I'm just not remembering where it is at the moment.
I think for the most part it is.
For the single-family homes and all these, are they all connected by a sidewalk? So can I walk out my door, get on the sidewalk, and go down the street versus stepping out into the street and having to walk down the street? I see right here in the second edition, you can see sidewalks. And I'm just wondering, with the new developments, do we follow through with that and have sidewalks in front of everybody?
Yeah, that was a major point that was considered in it's called the Willowbrook Planned Unit Development, which lays out exactly how the Willowbrook area will grow. And we've continued to implement that to the best of our ability. We have quite a complex trail system, so the wider asphalt trails that are usually about 8 to 12 feet wide, depending on the level of intensity, as well as sidewalks. Not every road has two-sided sidewalks, but the vast majority in Willowbrook have it on at least one side. So we're really hoping that it'll be a nice walkable residential area for new residents and then anyone who wants to visit as well.
Doesn't Oakdale have a ruling that you have to have sidewalks in new construction?
It depends on the area. We have a lot of zoning that's called planned unit developments, where we can kind of have more of a say into exactly what goes in and what we want the area to look like in the future. And in a lot of those residential-oriented sites, like the Greenway Station and the Helmo Station, as well as Willowbrook, we do have quite a bit of plans and ways to help enforce putting in sidewalks and other amenities.
I think it was 5, 6 years ago, they put sidewalks in I live on Helmo. It was wonderful, just absolutely doctored up the countryside, and it's clean and neat, and they take good care of it because they plow it, so you don't have to worry about falling down. At my age, I worry about falling down.
I worry for you.
You should, as you should.
Yeah, when I came on board here, I took over the bike and pedestrian plan process, and one of the things we heard in the public input was generally residents were very happy that our public works team plowed
Oh, absolutely.
the trails throughout the city. So that's something we like to hear and hear that
Probably
that's still
costs us a
resonating.
few bucks, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's the right thing to do, isn't it?
Any other questions from Max? Well, Max, this is very nice job done, very thorough. Really was.
A lot going on in Oakdale, a lot of development.
Yeah.
Certainly.
A lot to keep update on. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and again, I don't know all of the answers for a lot of these projects, as we've seen lots and lots of development in the last few years, but if you do have a question, I will be able to find it quite easily. So again, feel free to email or call.
Well, with that, I mean, you've already gone quite a bit in detail. You're scheduled for the staff liaison update.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it pretty short, but I do have a couple of things non-development related or partially related. So first off, economic development-wise, we recently held a public hearing and applied for 2 programs from the Minnesota State Department of Employment and Economic Development, which would provide funding assistance to Pace Analytical Life Sciences, a health sciences company that is currently located off Helmo Avenue. These programs, the Minnesota Investment Fund, one is called, and the Job Creation Fund, would have the state provide funding, if awarded, to help Pace Analytical expand its footprint in Oakdale and create, I believe, 40 or more high-paying new jobs. If awarded, the Minnesota Investment Fund would provide $450,000 in a forgivable loan, and then the Job Creation Program would provide $500,000 in grant funds, just so long as they meet their job creation and wage goals. As staff, we're hopeful that this request will be accepted and wanted to let the Economic Development Commission know given its relevance.
So where would they expand? Somewhere around where they are now?
Yeah, so they are on the east side of Helmo Avenue, near your building, I believe.
I look right out the window at them.
Yep.
And they would be expanding into a building on the western side, having offices and employees in both ends.
So that money is primarily for construction or
So
what,
it's for-
salaries and, I mean,
Yeah, so it's for construction as well as, because it's state funds, it's little bit more things eligible for it. So lots of lab equipment and individual pieces of equipment for very complex health sciences machinery. So things I'm not super familiar with, but cost quite a bit.
okay.
Yeah, they're a very good neighbor.
Yeah, and then my only other update for tonight, which I mentioned briefly in the PowerPoint, is we recently passed our shoreline zoning ordinance. This ordinance really helps us move forward with the Tanner's Lake project, as we will soon have permission once the DNR finishes reviewing our ordinance and our approval of it, to develop near the Tanner's Lake shoreline once the DNR approves the ordinance. As a part of this, we'll be making some shoreline improvements to help improve the health of aquatic life in Tanner's Lake. So we're looking forward to that, and with that, I don't have any additional community development updates, and I'm happy to take any additional questions.
So will the DNR go as far as look at restocking the lake, or how far are they going to go? Are they just going to create a nice shoreline for aesthetics, or how deep are they going?
Yeah, so this is more, it's not so much about stocking the lake, but the quality of the vegetation and general health of the shore particularly. So it helps animals and aquatic animals that live in the lake, or there's lots of rare species and common species that live in that sort of space where the water meets the land. And a lot of the restoration is meant to help with that. So we will partake in some of that, which can help in general the health of Tanner's Lake. And the reason we passed this ordinance in particular is if we don't have our own, we follow the default shoreland ordinance. And this one allows us to set our own rules while still meeting the state's requirements and allowing us to improve the quality of the water.
Okay. Being a good steward of the lake. There you go. Any questions for Max again? Well, with that, let's move on to the commissioners' updates. I'll start over with the Bobs.
I'm good, don't have any.
Bob?
Oh, nothing new, except what you talked about with Pace. They're moving into my fourth building, the north building.
So it's the furthest north building you have right there, where it's next to the open space?
Yes,
Will they be taking over the whole building?
eventually. That's the plan.
Yeah,
It isn't formal.
right. Well, good for you. Yeah. Jeff?
No updates.
Okay. We'll pass it on to Gary.
I've got nothing to add either.
Sir Frank?
I have nothing.
Well, the only thing, again, I'll reiterate is the chamber meeting tomorrow over at the machine shed. We've got the Tartan High School Choir for the, what, 38th year?
23rd.
23rd, I was close. So it will be a good time. And you were so thorough with everything. I don't have a question right now for Billy. This is, you can circle the day on the calendar here. Well, good. Well, let's go right to council to wrap this thing up. Save the best for last.
Well, thank you for that. Commissioners, good evening. Thank you for your time again for doing this work on behalf of the city. At a high level, not too much update coming from the council. I would encourage you guys to go take a look at our workshop agenda items. There's a number of items that came through there just regarding some new potential development outside of what Max said, shared tonight along Highway 14, 34th Street there. Just some possible development, but nothing definitive quite yet. But it is in the public record.
Anything you want to share?
There's some development possibly with a bank and a tire store in that same target neighborhood.
Yep.
But again, they haven't pulled any permits, and I think we're still kind of waiting to see what further information come out of that. So, but I encourage you guys to go check it out on our workshop documents. It is noted there, and you guys can read about it and see what we've kind of decided on that project there. Right now, we are in the midst of approving our budget for this next year. We'll be doing that at the next council meeting next week. And so I would encourage all the commissioners, all of you who are residents here, to come, listen, and hear, and ask questions as you feel are relevant to the new budget and the tax levy impact there. I think that's it as far as the items for the city. I just want to extend a bit of gratitude to each and every one of you guys during this holiday season. Thank you for your time, and happy holidays to you guys all. I'll stand for questions.
The workshop docs that you talk about, how, is it a once a month thing you guys usually have workshops, or is it, you can't have multiple ones during the month, do you?
So we have 2 a year, 2 a month, and we do them all before a council meeting. It's kind of our format, where we're one of the few cities that do this format where we have a workshop meeting, where we bring in subject area experts to come in, talk and share with us about different projects that they're looking at doing, kind of, have first run through by the council just to see where the council generally stands. We'll kind of work together and deliberate as a body on some items, and then kind of understand where people stand, and then get it approved through formal council action. And so it does happen twice a month, the 2 hours prior to city council meeting. And then we'll go up to the conference room on the second level, meet, talk, and then whatever items will then follow the next council meeting generally.
Okay,
So,
well, good. That's good to know.
I would just like to say, compliment you, city council people and all you people involved in this. A lot of people thinks that, well, we got this council meeting 2 times a month, is it?
yeah.
But that's nothing compared to the time that these people put in before a meeting, after a meeting, in between a meeting, workshops. I don't know where you find the time. I mean, I've been asked since I moved to Oakdale to get on the city council, and I shadowed one of the councilmen. No way. I would never, ever do it. It's just too time consuming. So good for you. Good for you for doing it, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Frank. It is certainly a thankless job, and a job that each one of my fellow council member and I, we look to do what we can to help progress the city forward. So
Well, it's a labor of love. There's no question of that. It's not a financial thing. I don't know what you get paid, but it isn't enough. So,
thank you for that.
Yeah, for example, I mean, you're here tonight,
yeah. Your family's at home wondering, where's Dad, huh?
Hockey practice.
Wonder what Dad's bringing home for dinner.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time, and that'll be it.
Okay, thank you. Should we make a motion to adjourn, or do we just go ahead?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's adjourned. Thank you.